Hi, my name is Fernando, and today I'd be presenting one of Renaissance's most finest artists, Michelangelo. Michelangelo di Lodovico Bortoni was a unique artist with a blended art life with a that contributed to the growth of poetry and sculpting at the same measure. An interesting question is, how did Michelangelo poetic life blend with design, religion, and his lifestyle? The answer lies in his annihilation from many contemporary living standards and influence on art in the Renaissance age. Michelangelo's life involved about art and his devotion to the Catholic faith. I will examine his personal life, artistic life, and influence on growth of the Renaissance art. Now let us probe in the main ramifications of Michelangelo's life and art. First, I will evaluate Michelangelo's personal life. I will analyze Michelangelo's art, and I will review Michelangelo's influence on modern art as well. Let us begin with his personal life to establish where his art began. His personal life was a bit of a struggle for him ever since he was young. And he had to endure very much as a young boy. So according to Simmons 2019, Michelangelo was born on 6th of March 1475, and he was brought up by a nanny after the tragedy of his mom being found dead in the forest. Michelangelo's early struggles were very rough. His father wasn't really inclined for him to really pursue the artistic career, more to farming and more of life things in Italy. Now let us review his education and training. Michelangelo was educated through art through apprenticeship from Gallardo. A year after, his father actually asked Gallardo to pay Michelangelo as a professional artist due to his inclination and interest in art, cited in Michelangelo.org. He also learned grammar in Florence and was sent as a boy to study under Francisco Urbano, and was also able to join a team of painters for the art of the Sistine Chapel. Now let us review his inspirations and early motivations. His source of inspirations was Lorenzo's intellectual circle. It was filled with literate, poetic, and scholarly talented men, according to AboutFamousArtists.com. Michelangelo applied physiology and politics in his work, which would incorporate the physiology of Neoplatonism, that human soul, powered by love and ecstasy, can reunite with the Almighty God. Luckily, he was able to refine his skills under the tutelage of Bernardo di Giovanni, a famous writer of letters and a humanist. Let us review Michelangelo. Michelangelo now enables us to proceed his artistic career. Let us see his sculpting life. Pisa, the sculpture in Carrara marble was made for the cardinal's funeral monument after the cardinal had died. David, the marble statue of the biblical figure David, was very favored of the subject, was very favored in Florence, and was actually sent for him to do. Now let us see some of his paintings. The Sistine Chapel ceiling and the Last Judgment covering the entire altar wall of the Sistine Chapel in Vatican City was the depiction of the coming of Christ and the final eternal judgment. The Torment of St. Anthony was Michelangelo viewed himself as a matter of importance as an artist. So he got his initial preparing as a painter in the workshop of Domenico Gallardo around 1449 to 1494. The Crucifixion of St. Peter, delaying the conversion of St. Paul on the road to Damascus 1601. On the special raised area between the two The two is the Assumption of the Virgin Mary by Annabel Criasili. Lastly, his art, his agriculture and poetry. Agriculture. Even though Michelangelo continued to sculpt and paint throughout his life, followed by physical severity of painting the Sistine Chapel, he turned his main focus towards agriculture. Poetry. Michelangelo's poetic boost, which had been expressed in his sculptures, paintings, and agriculture, started to take literacy form in the later years. We have seen how Michelangelo has diverse artistic life. Let us now investigate his influence of personal legacy. Personal legacy as an artist, he was one of the greatest Italian artists at the time. With his expertise in sculpting, poetry, and paintings. A big part of his legacy was that he cremated his legacy with the creation of the sculpture David that impacted a lot of people in Italy and left many speechless of the work that he has done. Concluding to this, the review of Michelangelo's personal life and training now enables us to proceed to his artistic career. Michelangelo's works were sculptures, paintings, and poetry. It is right to say that Michelangelo dedicated all his life to constructing murals, painting, and writing his poetry ever since being young. Michelangelo had a great passion for art, which kept increasing until he died. Today I discussed Michelangelo's personal life and his artistic career. Hence, it is right to say that Michelangelo dedicated his life to the construction of murals, painting, and poetry. Based on the above, it is an encouragement to all of us to have determination, which is essential for the success of our future. That has been my speech. Thank you so much.